Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
In a world where Big Pharma writes the script, it's time to believe. Biohack. Become.
We're here to explore the truth about healing that exists outside the broken medical system, to give you the knowledge, the community, and the strategies you need to become the hero of your own health story.
Your guide is a biohacking entrepreneur, a near-death survivor, and a cancer warrior navigating his own healing journey. Founder of Biohackingville, Exodus Strong, and QE Strong. Your host, Rob Renee. This is Biohackingville, where the medical system has failed us. One man is leading the rebellion to reclaim.
Your heart rate's at 27. How are you still standing? The nurse's hands were shaking. She was about to throw me down on the ground and start pumping my chest. She couldn't understand how I was walking around with my heart rate so low. I believe God gave me cancer to save my life. Here's the story. I was literally diagnosed with a condition called bradycardia. And for over a year, I had 3 different cardiologists tell me I needed a pacemaker. A pacemaker. In my mind, that was for old people. So I denied it. I said, this was at a time when I was really learning a lot about all natural health, and I was meeting with all these amazing all natural health practitioners, and I'm just like, I'm going to go do this myself. I'm going to go find the right supplements. I'm going to go find the right treatments. And I spent thousands of dollars and lots of time and lots of different treatments trying to get my heart fixed to where I didn't need a pacemaker. And lo and behold, after the second one, I was still stubborn. I literally got diagnosed with cancer. I got a little spot on my ankle. And then unfortunately, that spot on my ankle had been there for a really long time. And unfortunately, I ignored it as well. So it's just amazing how God works. But I did ignore that for a really long time. And unfortunately, that caused, by the time I did go get it investigated, it had already grown so much that it had gone inside my body. And the melanoma spot on my ankle had turned into a bad version of it, where it literally had grown into my lymph nodes and into my lymphatic system and started to spread. So by the time I got it diagnosed, they said, yes, you have it. There was no spread yet, but it had already entered my system and had started to replicate. And so as I was trying to figure out what to do, the cancer spread into my groin and I have 7 different tumors in my groin. And I was going down to Mexico to get my teeth, the metals removed from my mouth and the root canals removed from my mouth, because I did meet with an amazing holistic practitioner who was going to help me with my cancer. And first question out of his mouth is, how is your mouth? I'm like, what the heck? What are you talking about my mouth for? But to make a very long story short, your root canals are dead teeth, and those dead teeth can have bacteria in them. And what I learned, if you want to watch a documentary called The Root Cause, it's something I highly recommend. It's amazing what you will find that the root canals are really not healthy for you. And you can have dead teeth and you can have bacteria in those teeth. And your mouth is so cool. The way God designed this incredible temple is it's connected to all the different organs throughout your body. And so I literally could have gotten my melanoma in my ankle from bacteria in my mouth, which is just crazy to believe. But when you start researching the science behind it, it starts to make sense. So to make a long story short, I went and got the amalgams removed from my mouth because I had a lot of that from my dental work when I was a child, and got my teeth fixed, my root canals removed. And so during that period, I literally met with another cardiologist down there in Mexico, and that cardiologist said, "Man, you need a pacemaker." So I had to sign my life away while I was in Mexico for them to do the mouth procedures. So by then I'm like, okay, this heart condition is serious. I have cancer. And my oncologist that I was working with said, now that it had spread into my groin, said we may have to do surgery on that. So I finally just gave up. I said, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to go get my pacemaker. And so did the investigation on different pacemakers and got scheduled. This took months for all this to happen. And during that month of waiting and getting it scheduled and going on, my cancer was still growing. And I was in the early process of transitioning my body from a cancer producer to a cancer fighter. And I'm super glad to tell you now that I believe I've turned my body and transitioned it to a cancer fighter. But that's another story. Let's get back to the heart one, because this is pretty crazy, this story. So since I was waiting for those months, and we got the appointment scheduled, and literally as I was sitting on my couch doing nothing, just I believe I was reading my Bible, and I just about passed out in my morning devotional when I was reading. I was like, what the heck? How can you pass out when you're sitting there? I literally was doing nothing, but my heart had been failing. So my heart I had bradycardia for decades, and so I didn't think it was an issue. But what had been happening is that my junctional rhythm is what it's called, and my backup, my junctional rhythm, my junction was the backup that was beating my heart for decades. And it was failing, and I didn't know it. So I just about passed out that day, which was a wake-up call. And wow, that's not good. So I started doing more research. I'm like, yeah, people with heart conditions like mine, and a lot of the questions the cardiologist asked me were, "Hey, do you faint? Do you feel lightheaded?" And I always said no, because I was working out. I was relatively healthy, and I was taking all these supplements. I was doing all the right things. Yet my heart was failing. I didn't know it. On the drive to the hospital to get my pacemaker, driving down the freeway 70 miles an hour, probably 80 miles an hour here in Texas, I almost passed out again. I was just like, everything just went blank. And I was like, whoa, what the heck? My wife's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I almost passed out. And she's just like, well, give me the wheel. I'm gonna drive. And I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm such a stubborn man. We continued to drive. I got to the hospital, and that's where the nurse she started taking my pulse, and she's like, what the heck? How are you standing there? Because he literally couldn't understand why and how I was operating and functioning the way I was. To me, it was normal. I'd been operating this way for a really, really, really long time. Unbeknownst to me, my heart was failing. Half hour, 45 minutes, an hour later, as they checked me in and got me all ready for the procedure. It's supposed to only be a procedure about a half hour, 40 minutes to get this pacemaker installed. I went with a leadless pacemaker, which these leadless pacemakers are really cool. They don't have to put a pocket in your shoulder and then put a wire into your heart. It's a leadless one, so they go into your leg and then they go into your heart that way, and they literally screw in this little small, it's like a AAA battery into your heart. And so that was the plan. So I'm laying on the operating table, and pretty wild. I literally my heart failed. My backup of my backup failed. So I'm laying there on the operating table, my heart done. It finally given up. But God is so good. He orchestrated me to finally get this procedure that he'd been trying. He'd had multiple helpers tell me I needed to get this done. And I was so dang stubborn. I was trying to do it myself. I wasn't listening to the helpers that God had given me. And but he has plans for me on this earth. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing with Biohackingville, the podcast, and what I'm doing with the book that I'm writing, the Light Code. Very excited to talk to you about that. And the company I'm building, you know, the Exodus Strong and the Light Code system, because man, he has me here for a reason. And he has me here to help. Maybe it's for you. Maybe he has me here on this earth to help you. Maybe you have to go through some of the things that I've gone through, or maybe you can learn from the things that I did go through and you can avoid them. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple of other things. I literally have almost died 5 times. This was the one where I literally did. But God has a plan for my life. So my heart fails on the operating table. But guess where I am? I'm in the hospital on the operating table with heart specialists, heart surgeons. So did they fix me? I'm sitting here today, thank God, because of that. So they were able to get the pacemaker. They had to do a temporary one as my heart failed, to get my heart beating while they inserted the official one, the one that's there now, the one that's beating my heart to this day. And so pretty crazy experience. And after I went through that experience, and now that I reflect back on it, it's like, holy smokes, talk about close, right? And it's too bad that I didn't listen to my helpers. And so I'm now a very, very strong advocate for modern medicine and holistic medicine. For 5 years, I'd researched alternative health and holistic medicine and herbs and superfoods and all these amazing things that I'm teaching people about. And I was so far on this side that I ignored modern medicine, right? Because modern medicine to me was really bad because I'd done a lot of research on the takeover of our healthcare system. And it was real. Our healthcare system was compromised and is compromised. But it was a great lesson that God taught me, that modern medicine has made amazing advancements. And there are really good people in this medical world that want to help you. And if you have acute problems like a heart that's failing, you need modern medicine. And you break your leg, you need to go get help, right? You need modern medicine is amazing at acute care. At chronic care, it's horrible at, right? So that's where we need to just help people with, to say, chronic care and chronic disease can be overcome if you do things holistically and naturally, and you transition your body. Like I literally have transitioned my body from a cancer producer to a cancer fighter. And it's just incredible what I've learned and how to do that, and how to really learn how to listen to your body and to give it the right nutrients and give it the gut health it needs, and then let it teach your immune system how to fight off those sentient cells and the cancer cells that are inside your body. And that's inside everybody's body. But, mine I'd ignored my spot on my ankle for so long that it had grown and it started to replicate within my body. And so I'm happy to say that my tumors have shrunk 50%. There is no more spread. So I stopped the spread, and now they're shrinking. So in my mind, I'm cancer free. I've won the battle. And so I'm not there yet, but I'm going to be. I know I am, because God has plans for me. And it's not a short-term plan. This is a plan to help people. And so that was the first, that was the most dramatic near-death experience that I've gone through. And so I wanted to document that with you. I wanted to explain that to you, but I want to go through these other ones as well. So I'm going to actually share my screen. I'm going to go through this other presentation. It's just the lessons I've learned from the table. If you go back up, and the night I almost died, this was the one that I just talked about, right? So it's just incredible that I finally made that decision to go get help. But geez, count them, 5 times I almost died. It's actually just probably 6, but I'm gonna skip one of those. So let's go through this earliest one, right? This is in really young. I was in Pocatello, Idaho. I was a toddler, right? So I was actually born in '68. So this is the slide is a little bit wrong, but it was probably 2, so there's maybe 3. I was a toddler, and we lived on a busy, close to a busy street, and for somehow I got out of the house in my diapers, and thank God I have this amazing dog named Honey. That Honey went with me, and Honey, I believe, guided me and protected me. So I believe God has helpers in my life, and Honey at this time was one. I ended up walking across this really busy street as a toddler in diapers went to a grocery store across the street. And when I went to the grocery store, it's one of those country grocery stores where one person works in there, and you'd get your candy and other things, and the gentleman's working there was like, "Hello, can I help you?" And he didn't understand what was going on, because here all of a sudden this little toddler in diapers is in his shop, and the little dog is with him. So Honey was a Cocker Spaniel, just a beautiful dog. Loved my first dog, Honey, but she protected me. So the gentleman had to find my mom, and my mom at the time was freaking out, right? Because then she's like, "Where's Rob?" And all of a sudden he's gone. And so I call that my first near-death experience. It wasn't near as dramatic as the last one, but I literally could have died that particular day, right? Any car could have hit me as I was walking across the street without my beautiful dog, Honey. That could have been a big problem. So that was like my first one. This second one is pretty crazy. This is the glass door. So as I was a teenager, my cousins were over at our house. This is still in Idaho, and we were playing chase. We were running around chasing each other throughout the house. Like we were playing tag, and I was pretty fast, so I'm not getting tagged, right? I was running around, and I was inside the house, and I was going outside the house. Our front door had one of those screen doors where the glass was on top and the bottom part was the screen. But unfortunately, at this particular time, the screen was gone. It had fallen out for some reason. And so I'm looking behind me, just running my tail off, and I pushed the screen door open because there wasn't really a latch. It was just one where you just pushed it. And instead of pushing the screen door, my hands went through where the screen was, and my head hit the glass, and the glass shattered. And the glass, this was the glass in the 60s, was not the shatterproof glass that we have now. This literally was a glass that when it broke, it created this really sharp edge, and our edge came right in front of my face and hit my chest. And then in my chest, it dug into my lungs and came a quarter of an inch from my heart. And at the time, I wasn't really concerned. I was just like, "Oh no, I'm in trouble," right? I broke the glass door, and but then I saw my cousins and my brother looking at me, just freaking out. And I didn't know why, but all of a sudden, I could feel all this wet stuff going down my front, and it was blood. I looked down, I was like, "Holy smokes," it's just blood was streaming down my front. So they take me into the house and lay me down on the bathroom. They're putting stuff all over it. And then as I would breathe in, you could hear it would gurgle because of the puncture in my lungs. And, I didn't think much about the location of it at the time. But I know that everybody was freaking out, so I knew it was bad. And then all of a sudden, there was no adults at the house at the time. So one of my brothers or friend ran to the neighbor's house and got the neighbor friend of ours, and they put me in his truck, and they took me. He just immediately took me to the hospital, and the hospital was still 10 or 15 minutes away from the house. And man, I got really tired on the drive, and I was like, man, he kept trying to keep me awake, and so I was just like, well, this is a bummer. But what really freaked me out was when he took me to the emergency area, the emergency room, and the nurses come up, and so he'd called ahead, or somebody had called ahead, and when the nurse came out to put me in a wheelchair or a gurney, I can't remember which it was, but I was like, yeah, it's right there, it's right by his heart. And I was like, immediately my mind went, what? My heart? Oh my gosh. Hadn't thought about that. I was young. I didn't think about it. But literally, that thing was it was a quarter of an inch from my heart. If it would have punctured my heart, I would probably not be here today. I probably would have bled out on my bathroom floor. So, man, talk about excruciating. When they took me in and started investigating what was going on, what was happening, did all the things that they do in the emergency room. It was pretty crazy. They literally had to shoot needle, and this is the part I remember most, was them shooting needles in my chest to numb me in order to suture me. And oh my gosh, my chest is wide open with cuts, and they're putting needles into my body and my skin. And obviously I was in shock, and I was not, I'm pretty sure I was screaming. It was not a pleasurable experience, but God has a plan for my life. He obviously does, because they were able to suture up my cut, and they were able to suture up my lung. So my lung still operated, and I was able to recover from that. And I went into become a runner, right? I really learned how to run well. I had this natural talent of running, and that really leads to this third near-death experience. As I was a runner, it was so much fun, because as a youth running, I'd read a book called Eat to Win, and that book was about nutrition and how you can use nutrition to improve your body and improve your performance. And all my competition was eating hot dogs and hamburgers, and I'm fueling my body perfectly. I was a distance runner even in middle school, and I was able to finish a race so much better than my competition because I knew how to fuel my body. And so that catapulted me into, I won a national championship when I was in middle school. So I was the best, cross country runner at my age and across the entire country, right? And then I got a full ride running scholarship to a Division I school. And then while I was in college, my second year, I made the U.S. junior team. So I got second place in our national championship win. And the gentleman just barely out leaned me for that race. And I was frustrated, but I got second. And then I was able to do an international tour. And then on the international tour, I won one of those international races against the best runners from 6 different countries. I beat the guy who beat me, and I beat the best runners from 6 different countries. And I was so excited because my goal in life was to be a professional runner. And I was so close to being there. Everything was going just perfect for my trajectory of what I wanted to do. But then, lo and behold, I'm a Division I athlete. I'm out in Utah on a training run. I was out on a 10-mile training run, and during that training run, I'd gotten a bloody nose because it was so cold and dry. But my friend and I were on that training run, and I just said, "Oh, let's just continue. We'll just keep going. We need to get our training run in, right?" And I was so dedicated that no bloody nose was going to stop me, and no cold, and no ice, and no rain, or it was actually snow, and snow covered, and the roads were snow covered. But hey, I had to get my 10 miles, and it didn't matter. Heck or high water, I'm doing my run. I do the run, and we're about halfway out there. It's like we're out in the middle of a country road, and I had moved. We were running parallel, so I was running in front. My friend was running behind me, and all of a sudden he yells my name, and he had jumped into the ditch because there was a car coming from behind us that I didn't know about. It's actually a 4x4 truck, and the 4x4 truck was sliding towards us. My friend jumps into the ditch, yells my name. I have enough time to turn around. I see this 4x4 truck coming. It's like, I'm going to get hit. I had no chance to move, duck, slide, nothing. It was like, I'm going to get hit. And it came, the 4x4 truck hit me in the hip and literally launched me. It threw me 36 feet. That's a freaking long way to launch a human being's body. And I landed straight on my face. So I don't know if you can see in the camera, but right here I've got a bunch of scars, and this whole side of my face was just pure road rash. It was like I had a puncture in my lip, and this whole side of my face was just disgusting. And I broke my pelvis in multiple places, and my face landed first, then my knees. And as I'm laying on the ground, it was very scary because that bloody nose I had earlier in the run clogged my throat. So not only am I laying on the ground, freezing, I was unconscious because of the landing on my face, so it knocked me out. And my blood from my nose clogged my throat, so I'm not breathing. I'm unconscious. And I'm laying on the side of the road. Again, if it wasn't for my friend, Phil, if he hadn't recognized that I had that bloody nose earlier, and he came to me and he came to my aid, and he's like, he knew that I was unconscious, and he knew he could tell I wasn't breathing. So he remembered the bloody nose. So he literally, he stuck his finger in my throat and unclogged my throat so I could breathe. Wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here again today. But God is good. God has a plan for my life. My friend Phil saved my life that day, and I ended up recovering from that accident. And then I went into the corporate world, right? So that's near death number 3. That one was really traumatic. It took me a long time to recover from that. And but at the same point, I knew God had a plan for my life, but I just didn't know what it was. I thought it was to just get married, and I did what the world tells you to do at that point. I went in and I got married and had 3 kids and got a house with a white picket fence and do all the things that the world tells you to do. And I got a job at a large corporation, and I started moving up in that organization, went into sales, and just really dedicated my life to being really good at my craft. And I did that for decades, and I was good at it. But it was I was very closed-minded from what was going on in the world. I was really dedicated to what I was doing, but I didn't really care about politics. I didn't care about religion. I called myself a Christian, but I really wasn't. I believe I was saved, but at the same point, I didn't act on it. And so that we'll talk about that a little later. But the crazy thing is through that period is when I developed this addiction, and this addiction was alcohol. And with part of my sales job was to go entertain clients. And so I would take them out to lunch. We'd have a drink. Take them out to the bar after work, and we'd have a drink. And then I'd come home and I'd have another drink. And for 20 years, probably more than that, 20 plus years, I drink every single day. And that moves into my 25-year slow death is what I call it. That was my near death number 4 was that. And so it's just incredibly crazy that I had done that for so long, and I got to the point where I just wasn't thinking well, and I was losing my memory. My wife's like, "Don't you remember we talked about that yesterday?" I'm like, "Whoa, of course I remember." Again, Mr. Stubborn male Rob, and I didn't want to believe that I had a problem, and I thought everybody drinks, and it's just social. I just was a social drinker. I was very highly functional alcoholic because I kept my job and I did well in my job, but at the same point, at 5 o'clock, I was having a drink. I'd have a couple of drinks every night before I went to bed, regardless of whether or not I needed it or wanted it. I just did it, and I called it I didn't even call it anything. I just did it, and so most people didn't realize that I'd had a problem. My wife obviously did. She wanted me to quit for 10 plus years. And, I politely, said that I'm fine. One time, I think I did during that 25-year period, I quit for 10 days at one point. I remember one time I was so excited. I made it to 40 days, and it was like a religious thing. I made it to 40 days. I'm like, oh, see, if I can go 40 days, I can do anything I want. But, it gotten to the point where it became a problem. It became a problem where I just was not thinking. I could not think well, and just forgetting things, and my mental clarity was just declining, and my health was declining. I was out of shape. I was heavy, so I was probably 25 pounds overweight. I wasn't exercising like I should, and things were just going bad. And I literally remember one night laying in bed with my wife, and I said, "I think I'm done drinking." She about fell out of the bed, right? Because she'd never heard me say that, because I never wanted to do it, right? I always thought I was fine, and she's like, "Yeah, you should have done that 10 years ago." I said, "I know." But what I did do is I did it very smart. I did some research prior to me telling her that what happens when your body, and why do you start forgetting things, right? When you drink this often for so long. And then I learned that, man, when your body is addicted to alcohol, depending on how much your body's addicted and how much you drink, it can be very dangerous to just all of a sudden quit cold turkey, and you can literally kill yourself by stopping drinking. I'm like, well, that sucks. I want to stop drinking, but I don't want to kill myself. And again, me, Mr. Stubborn Rob, I didn't want to go through a 12-step program. I didn't want to make it a big deal. I didn't want people to know that I was doing this. I just decided to do it. So I literally was on my hands and knees, and I was praying to the God, saying, "Help me get through this." And my wife and God got me through it. I did go see a doctor that day and said, "Hey, I'm going to stop drinking." And he gave me some medication for that first week to help with the withdrawal symptoms that can sometimes kill people. And I got through that week without any drinking. And I haven't drank for, I think it's 8 some years now. I have not had a drop of alcohol in my system, and I still continued my job. I still continued to do things, but I had club soda and lime. So anytime we'd go out and I would get something, I would get a club soda and lime. So it looked like I was drinking. It felt like I was drinking. I still was social. I was still me, but I was not consuming alcohol. Man, that was literally one of the best decisions I've ever made. I feel so much better. My mind has come back, hopefully, but it's like my clarity is incredible. And I started working out, and I started running again, and it was just like I literally was at the point where I couldn't run a quarter of a mile. I couldn't jog a quarter of a mile. my wife was running at the time, and it took me months for me to. I started walking with her every day. She would run, I would walk, and then I'd walk a little bit, and I would jog a little bit. And then the next day I'd walk a little bit and jog a little bit, and I was really consistent with that. And over time, I was able to finally. It took me months. But over time, I was finally able to run with my beautiful wife again. Such a liberating experience to be able to get in shape. I lost a lot of weight. I stopped drinking. My clarity came back. I'm like, man, this is amazing. But then guess what? During that period was when, boom, the pandemic hit. And the pandemic is when, I call the pandemic my second truck. That second truck had such a dramatic effect on my life, kind of like the first one did. The first one, right? I'm everything's going perfect in my life. I'm just won the international race I told you about, and things were just going swimmingly well. And then boom, I get hit by that 4x4 truck, and everything I'd worked for 10 plus years was gone. And I had to start over. So I did. I started over, and I went into the corporate world, and I became successful again at that. And then boom, the pandemic hit, and I couldn't travel for my job. And so they downsized the sales team. And so the first time in my life, I'd kind of been able to sit back and look what's going on in the world. And man, what I uncovered was just so frightening and so scary about what's going on in our world from both a health perspective. From a health perspective, I want to keep my family safe. Right, so I was researching all these ingredients and ways to, supplements and how to keep my family safe. And so that's where I went. That second truck is where I really started digging into all natural health and all the things that now have become what I'm doing. All the things that I believe the Lord has trained me with from a health perspective came from that pandemic. And so for the last, 6 years or so now, since the pandemic, I have gotten so incredibly smart about what's going on with the world from a health perspective. I've done a lot of research into our healthcare system and how it was taken over in the early 1900s, and the corruption on our communication system, and how our communications were being literally fed a narrative. And I didn't believe that. I thought that was the people that said that were silly. And man, I've learned a lot. And so I did a deep dive on natural health. I did a deep dive on herbs and superfoods, and I did deep research on frequency medicine. And I learned a lot about light and light frequencies. And that's what I've ended up creating is this company called Exodus Strong and the Light Code System. I've learned about red light therapy and all the things and how that's helped me with my recovery of the cancer journey. I've learned a lot about frequencies and how you can use frequencies, both good and bad, and how frequencies can really impact the body in a real way. And then I've learned a lot about nutrition. And so as part of my cancer fight, nutrition has been key. And so I've learned a lot about the herbs and superfoods in the Bible. I did a deep dive on all of those. I learned a lot about molecular hydrogen. Molecular hydrogen is such an incredibly cool element. Hydrogen is the first element that God created. It's the smallest element in the world. It's the first thing on the periodic table, and that molecular hydrogen acts as a master antioxidant in your bloodstream. So if you can get molecular hydrogen in the body, it does incredible things. It crosses the blood-brain barrier, helps you be more cognitive, and it helps get rid of those sentient cells and those bad cells that are in your body. Hydrogen is a great help with. So he's taught me all those things. And then one area that I haven't talked a lot about yet, and we'll spend a few minutes on this, is my faith journey. So during the period after the pandemic hit and I was going through the research, I really was devastated. I was so frustrated because I'm like, I'm 50 years old. How was I lied to this many years of my life and I didn't know it? And so that really frustrated. Remember I talked to you about I had my blinders on when I was in the corporate world. I didn't really care about politics. I didn't care about all things going on in the world. I just was doing my job. and take care of my family, building a beautiful family. I have a wonderful, beautiful hers, mine, and ours family. I love my family. I love my children. I love my grandchildren. So I was doing that right, but I wasn't doing things right from a health perspective, as well as now from a faith perspective. And so as I was doing all the research, I got really, really mad, really, really upset, and I was like, man. I started questioning my faith, and I'm like, okay, all this people, talk about the Bible all the time, and I know the Bible, and I've heard, I've read lots of parts of the Bible, but I was like, is the Bible really true? And how do I answer that question? And so my brother's a mentor of mine, and he's done a lot of research on a lot of things, and one of them is the Bible, and he introduced me to this TAP method. It's the textual criticism, archaeology, evidence, and prophetic evidence of the Bible. If you go through and research the TAP method and understand it, then, oh my gosh, that's where I really transitioned from being skeptical about my faith, skeptical about the Bible, to being an on-fire believer in God. And if you do the textual criticism, you go look at the actual text, it's undeniable. The Bible is the most authenticated and backed up document than any other document in the entire world. No matter what document it is that you believe in. A lot of people believe in a lot of things, and they go back to the original text of things. But there's nothing that compares to the authenticity of the Bible from a textual criticism perspective. And then you do research on the archaeology evidence in the Bible and all of the discoveries that have happened throughout the years from an archaeology perspective. And man, that's hard to deny. You're like, holy smokes, that's some really amazing evidence. And then you look at the prophetic evidence in the Bible, all the prophecy that was fulfilled and throughout the Bible. It's like, holy smokes, this is actually incredible. Let me get off of the screen. Let's go back to, so I'll finish my faith journey in a second. I just want to get off the screen. This operating table number 5, right? That was the heart rate at 27. So I'm going to quit sharing the screen. Go back to here. You're already here. Thank you. So maybe you were already here, but anyway, the finish of my faith journey. So as I was doing that research on the TAP method, I really developed a personal relationship with God. So now, ever since then, I've been just being led by Him. I was like, my gosh, Lord, you've been so amazing to me. Look at all these things that have happened in my life, and look what you've done for me. And even this last episode was after my strong faith. Man, after that fifth one, and being, dying on the operating table and still being alive, still being here, my focus has changed. I'll just have to say that. I was earlier in my career, and even 4 or 5 years ago, I wanted to build a big company. I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted to just make a difference, but it was more about me, right? And after this last accident with my heart, and I don't care about anything. And my wife gets a little frustrated about that, in the respect that I don't care about my house. I don't care about my car. I don't care about where I live. I don't care about anything that used to really, really matter to me. I've been a gadget person my entire life, so I had to have the latest of everything. The latest iPhone, the latest beeper back in the day. I had to have the latest of everything. And I really, really honestly don't care about any of that anymore, which is really strange for me to say. But what I do care about is helping people. And so I really have changed my entire plan and everything that I'm doing now. The reason why you're hearing this story is I've sucked in all the pride and everything that, last thing I want to do is tell people about my drinking, but I know it's going to help someone. So someone listening to this is going to say, yeah, maybe I drink a little bit too much. And man, if he did it, maybe I can do it too. And you can, right? You can. And if I can help somebody along their path with the light code, the book I'm writing, and how to help people with red light therapy and with frequency therapy and with the fuel, which is a molecular hydrogen and supplementation and food, right? The fuel component is amazing. Then the faith component is the fourth pillar. And the faith is I'm really, really strong believer in the mind, body, spirit. Your mind is so incredibly powerful. You can control your body with your mind. It's amazing. You can pray to the Lord, and the Lord can heal you in an instant. So the mind, body, spirit connection is really, really important to your overall existence as a human being. So I want to help people with that. I want to help people with red light therapy and why the light therapy is so important, and frequency therapy and combining it with the red light is really important. We're the only company in the world who has frequency components added to our red light therapy products, right? And we include the molecular hydrogen supplement in some cases, right? Where it's like you get the molecular hydrogen in your body, you're helping from the inside, right? The light therapy is helping from the outside. And guess what all of this is doing? It's helping the mitochondrial process work better. And guess what failed on me, right? The reason why I ended up getting cancer, who knows why I got it? I think you got it to save my life. But the cancer in my body, in order for me to stop spreading, I had to transition my body to a cancer fighter rather than a cancer producer. And the mitochondrial process is so important. You have to get your mitochondrial processes to work well. It's an energy system in your entire body. So if you get your cells working well, your immune system can work well. Your immune system works well, it can fight off disease within the body. It's designed to do that. God created this temple so incredibly cool that you need to take care of it. And I want to help people with taking care of their temple. And so I'm literally dedicating my life for the rest of my life is to if God blesses me with a big business, that's fantastic, because I want to have big impact. I want to build a business. I want to have a business that has the ability to help a lot of other people. If I have a bigger business, I can help more people. That's how I look at everything now. Like, how can I help an impact? So right now, it's like I'm writing this book. I'm super excited to talk to you about the book in the future. This podcast is all about how can I help people. And so I've got a newsletter that I send out once a week. It's called The God Algorithm. And I even added .ai because I use technology a lot. And I think that technology is really important if you use it in the right way, right? You put garbage into AI, you get garbage out of AI. But if you put good things in AI, it can automate a lot of things for you and help you. So that's another big thing that why I call myself an AI, futurist, as we talked about last week, was the why I call myself that, right? Because I really believe I'm going to be the intersection of what's going on in the world for people from a health perspective, of how to leverage AI and technology to help you, but also understanding the ancient wisdom, right? You cannot forget about the Bible. You can't forget about the things that are important as part of that. So that's why I believe I exist. That's why I believe the Lord has me here is to do that. And I want to just speak directly to you. Right? God is not done with you with you. Right? He's not done with me. He's not done with you. If you have breath in your lungs today, he has a plan for your life. So I want to speak that to you. I want to speak existence into you. I want to speak breath of the life into you. You have the breath of life. And so I want you to give you hope that there is hope and you will have hope. And I want you to believe it. And I'm excited. Join my newsletter, thegodalgorithm.ai. Join that, and you're going to get an update from me every week on what's going on with this story. And I'm putting out my story on social media. My YouTube channel is going to have the details of this story, and you're going to see portions of what I did here on that. But I'm just excited to help people. I'm excited to share, and I just thank you for listening. And I'm excited to try to help you in the future. Maybe it was you I was talking today. So God bless you, and believe, biohack, become.
Remember, if you have air in your lungs today, God has a plan for your life. Believe, biohack, become.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Join the community and get the show notes at biohackingville.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at biohackingville. Until next time, believe, biohack, become.